You're listening to episode 139, a facility dog program in a children's hospital. Hello, my friends. I'm so happy that you're here today. We are doing a quick 12-minute talk. And if you are new to the podcast, I am Katie, a child life specialist. We help children and families cope in the hospital. And every once in a while, we get an expert in on here. So our traditional podcast is hearing from parents and share their stories, advice, and perspective on what they've been through. And every so often, we get an expert or a professional in the field of children's health, pediatrics, mental health, whatever it looks like, or child life in general. And today we have actually a friend of mine. Her name is Shelby. She works at Texas Children's Hospital and is one of their facility dog handlers. So her entire job is working with her facility dog. And there are so many components that I never thought about before I chatted with her. And so I hope that you really enjoy this episode. I do want to give you a quick trigger warning that we do talk about an intervention that includes the passing of a patient. And so if that feels too heavy for you today, you can go ahead and either move through the part where we're talking about patient intervention or just, skip this episode and come meet us back next week. Okay, thank you so much for being here. Okay, really quick before we jump into the conversation. If you are a child life specialist and you are certified and you like cool people and you like to get really affordable PDUs and you love to share information and resources because you don't want to reinvent the wheel, then you need to come join us in the Child Life Circle community. We are child life specialists who not only chat on forums and share information, but we get really cool webinars from community organizations and also access to PDUs. So it is $14.99 a month until the end of October. So come in and join us, be a founding member, get to know us. We hope to see you. You can visit childlifeoncall.com, click on Child Life Circle to learn more information, including a letter to give to your employer to see if they can pay for your memberships. So, okay, join us there and we hope to see you.
I'm Shelby Bonnet. I am currently a child life specialist and animal-assisted therapy coordinator here at Texas Children's Hospital. But a little bit about me is I have a husband and a wonderful 14-month-old. Her name is Amy, and she is just like the greatest thing that ever happened to us. And so whenever I'm not hanging out with the family, I'm hanging out with our two golden retrievers. I have one whose name is Doug, who is an honorary stay-at-home dog watcher. And then I have Pinto, who is one of our hospital facility dogs. And so part of Pinto is I bring him to work every day, and we can just see patients and families and staff members as well. I've been a child specialist since 2013, which is pretty wild, but I'm almost been a child specialist for 10 years. So I started my career at Dell Children's in Austin and then transferred over to Texas Children's when my husband got a job transfer. I started in the emergency center, which I absolutely loved. It was a very hard transition whenever an animal-assisted therapy coordinator position came available. But I hopped over to this role in 2018 alongside my pal Pinto, and it has just been the greatest experience for the past almost 4 years, which is pretty amazing.
Oh my gosh, I have so many questions. But first of all, Shelby and we had some overlap in our child life careers, which is how we got to know each other. And even before you were in the ER at Texas Children's, you did ICU work here at Dell.
I did, yes. I was primarily the IMC, which was like the intermediate step-down unit, as well as the PICU. So I, from my internship, got thrown in and just learned so much, which I think helped me ultimately being in the emergency center, which was pretty cool.
Yeah. It was so fun getting to work with you, and I was outpatient, you were inpatient. So we didn't have a lot of work overlap, but we got to see each other at lunch, and that was great.
Oh my gosh, I miss those lunches.
So many stories. So my first question is, and I kind of want you to walk us through, I know all programs are different as far as facility dog goes. So kind of based on what you said, you moved into the animal assisted, and then did you get a new dog for the role? Is that something you had to do, or how does that work?
Yeah, so like you said, each hospital works a different kind of way. So our hospital is primarily funded, our animal assisted therapy positions are funded through philanthropic donors. So kind of what that looks like is our marketing and philanthropy team find different donors throughout the Houston area, or all over basically around Texas that want to help donate to this program. And so once they collect the allotted amount of money, it actually pays for my salary, everything for the facility dog in like their lifetime. And so once they get that, the position becomes available. And so then it's just like a internal or external transition depending on the applicant. And then from there on, you just get a facility dog. So basically a position is created. And then once an applicant gets hired on, then you start the application for a facility dog.
Okay.
So as I transferred from the emergency center to this position, I didn't have a dog.
Okay. And does it have to be a child life specialist who gets this position?
Currently at our hospital, we are functioning as a child life specialist only. I know other hospitals are different. We are just starting with child life.
Okay. It makes a lot of sense because there's so many nuances, as we know, in the hospital that child life just knows about. And so it's just so important, you know, with meeting with families and building rapport and who is this good for? And we're not going to go see a dog bite and just all those little things that come, you know, into practice when you're trying to consider how to support patients and families. But what was it like at the beginning when you went into the role and you got Pinto, and what was that beginning stage like?
Oh my gosh. I have never felt so overwhelmed in my life, to be completely honest. Yeah. You know, you're hearing all these people be like, you have the best job in the world, which we hear every single day as a child life specialist. And I agree, right? Like, I think I have the most amazing job, but I think it was really difficult for me to kind of like find a workflow because there was no longer walking through the halls, you know, where no one noticed you. It was really hard transition for me to walk out of a really difficult procedure or conversation with Pinto and get stopped by medical staff or families being like, oh my gosh, you have the best job in the world. Can I pet your dog? Oh, let me take a picture. It was just, I had to learn really quickly that it was okay to say no, which I feel like as a child life specialist, we have a hard time in general. So that was just like a big learning curve for me to have to kind of suppress my own emotions for a little bit and then get to a place where I could just kind of relax.
Oh man, you know what? I never even thought about that, but you're literally with a therapy dog doing therapeutic interventions. That doesn't mean it's all sunshine and rainbows all the time. And so,
right. And,
yeah, wow.
Yeah. And it's a really great thing for, you know, like we primarily focus on patients and staff, but the amount of help and support that our medical professionals need is almost equivalent to our patients and families. So it's just been really hard to kind of juggle, like, when can I tell a physician no? Or like, when can I tell this bedside nurse no who's with this patient for 12 hours?
Mm.
So.
Wow. So when you're explaining that, does that mean, will you have specific interventions with staff? Like or I guess help me understand like what you mean when you're saying you have to decide between staff and patients and families.
So a lot of times, so what we ended up doing is we create like staff support groups.
Okay.
Whether that means like if there was a bereavement on the unit, kind of getting like co-treating with the chaplain and getting the staff like just like in a general area where they can just pet Pinto and relax. But we also do like if there was like a really like recently we've had a lot of behavioral kids on the unit, which takes a lot of stress on the bedside nurses. So sometimes the staff support will just be, you know, just like going to their computer bay and just letting them have 5 minutes uninterrupted with Pinto. Because it's really hard to tell someone no whenever. So Pinto and I, our schedule is we have, you know, we typically see like 8 to 10 patients, and all of those patients have a therapeutic goal in mind. And so whenever staff sees us, I think they forget that we have a purpose and a job. And so oftentimes when we're going from patient A to patient B, they want to stop and just like play with Pinto, and it gets everyone kind of off their groove. So I have learned to be really intentional about, telling them like, I'm so sorry, we will come back tomorrow and see you if you're here, kind of thing, because otherwise we're never going to see our patients. Right.
Yeah. And Pinto has a job to do. And so your job is to keep him focused. And so all these distractions can probably really get in the way, and his efficacy in an intervention if he's constantly distracted by new people.
Right. And like Pinto, he is the most outgoing and loving and smiling dog. So it's like, I don't blame people, right? He'll be walking around prancing and smiling. So it's like, how dare you not say hi to him? Honestly, like, no, you pet my dog.
Yeah.
And so it's a very like, I'm like, I know he's so happy to see you, but like also Pinto, let's go. So I struggle with it. Everyone struggles with it.
Shelby, do you have an intervention or a story in mind where you and Pinto work together with a family that has kind of stuck with you? I think we all have those one memory or families that it's like, wow, this is why we're doing what we're doing, and that you'd be able to share with us.
Yeah, I recently had a patient. She was a hematology patient, and she was secluded to her room due to her continuous chemos. So she could only leave her room with assistance of a nurse, which we all know right now, nurses are so overworked. They have 1,000 other things going on. So it was really hard for them to prioritize taking her up to a different floor. And so we started to get to know her, and she really loved Pinto. She told us every time, like, this is just like the highlight of my day. And so every time we would try to go in so she was here for 4 weeks, and then she was actually going to transfer to our bone marrow transplant unit, which unfortunately our dogs aren't allowed to due to like contact precautions. And so she just loved every single time we were there. We did model magic with Pinto's paw. And one of the last interventions we did together was she created friendship bracelets. So she created a friendship bracelet and created one for Pinto and, like put it on his paw. So every time we went to see her, I was very intentional about putting the bracelet back onto Pinto's paw. And whenever it wasn't on his paw, I have it looped around. All of our dogs have their own like hospital badge. Yeah. So I had it like looped around there. And so we had talked a lot about the transition to BMT and how difficult that was going to be with her, because she had kind of said that Pinto was a huge part, and the other facility dogs were a huge part of her coping plan. And I think one of the most amazing things about a facility dog that people don't understand is a patient becomes so vulnerable with them because they don't even realize what they're doing, right? When you're in that moment and you're just like petting a dog, every kind of emotion and feeling and thought just kind of runs free because you're not having to focus on a conversation. It's just like so natural. And so she had told us how much she loved Pinto, and unfortunately she was going to have to get rid of her dog at home due to her treatment plan. And so there were just like a lot of emotional ties to a dog. And so we had decided whenever she went to BMT, we were going to be pen pals. And so we were able to be pen pals, but unfortunately, her treatment plan just didn't go as planned, and the cancer got the best of her. But it was pretty amazing because one of the last things that she did was she created a poem about her hospital experience. And the entire poem was about her interactions with Pinto and like how happy it made her and like how that was the best part of her hospital stay. And I think it's just those moments where it's such a dark place in their life, but a facility dog or Pinto can come in and just be such a light to her and her mom.
Wow, that's so much to handle on so many levels for you and Pinto.
Oh my gosh, but it's so like, I look back at those interactions and why it's so sad and like so heartbreaking, but it's also so happy. Right. Pinto was able to make such a positive impact, not only her, but also her mom. I mean, her mom's face when we walked in would probably be just as bright as the patient.
So true.
And she's like, yes, my favorite part of the day, both of them. And like, there's plenty of times when you walk in a patient's room and the TV's on or the music's on. And I mean, the moment we walked in, it was Pinto time. Everything was off. If the doctors rounded, they said like, no, we have 40 minutes with Pinto, and I'm just like, cool.
Whoa, that's so special.
It's really, yeah, it's amazing. It's really cool.
It's so true. And it's such a gift that you're giving, and sacrifice on yourself too, because I haven't been in a place with a facility dog. But I have worked with a hospital that has one, and I know it's not easy, like as far as having to go take Pinto out to the bathroom every so often, making sure he gets his rest, his meal times, making sure he's bathed before he comes in. So it's a lot of sacrifice on your end too, as the handler.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for acknowledging that. I appreciate that.
We'll be right back. If you have ever wondered where you could get those cloth dolls that Child Life Specialists use with kids for medical education or sending home to siblings or to draw on for therapeutic activities, then you don't have to wonder any longer, because our friends at Smile Makers have decided to now sell these amazing cloth dolls for a very affordable price. I know that when I was in the hospital, I would have to rely on a volunteer network to then give us the dolls, which was really nice, but I had to wait a lot of times. Like I would need a doll now and I wasn't able to get it. So this is a great place to be able to go get your procedure dolls at smilemakers.com. And y'all, they have 3 different skin tones for these cloth procedure dolls. In addition, you can actually buy a procedure doll prep bundle that comes with fabric markers. This is a fabulous way to do your medical teaching, to help siblings feel involved, to get kids creative, to do a lot of teaching about different diagnoses. And so go to smilemakers.com so you can get your cloth dolls as soon as possible before they run out. And when you go to that checkout to get your cloth dolls, also type in OnCall20 and you will get 20% off your entire order. So not just the cloth dolls. So if you get a bundle for Child Life Specialists, if you get a piece of furniture, if you get one of their really cool toys and prizes, or you order a large sticker order from them, OnCall20 gets you 20% off your whole order. That's smilemakers.com, code OnCall20 to get 20% off. What is that part like for you? Is that kind of, does that, not that it bothers you, but it is something like another thing for staff and getting a facility dog to think about. It's just, it's not all just fun interventions. There's like parts of handling an animal that are involved.
That is probably one of the most, like, I don't want to say exhausting parts of my job, but it is really tiring taking care of him on top of my feelings. Because like you said, he takes on every single feeling that maybe I might not feel. And so after like a difficult patient, Pinto needs to like relax. And so those like tedious little moments are kind of like one of my additional jobs that I never thought about, was to protect him. And so like giving him rest and having to tell another patient, like, I'm so sorry, we were planning on seeing you today, but unfortunately, like, Pinto is so tired. Those have been really hard conversations because the kid doesn't, not that they don't care, but like they were looking forward to that too. So that's been I think beginning a program, setting those boundaries and setting those guidelines to help protect whoever the handler is, whether that's a child specialist or a chaplain or a physician, really paved the way for intentionality of protecting not only the staff member, but also the facility dog.
Well, I would want to keep talking to you forever and hearing more stories. But before we go, because I promised this would be a short one so people could actually listen to it in its entirety, tell us a little bit about what life with Pinto is like at home. So, you know, you guys have this intense work schedule. You go home to a 14-month-old. What is he like in your family?
Katie, the first time I got Pinto, he is so chill at work. He lays in bed. He takes naps. He's just super chill. I take him home. I take off his vest. Absolutely bananas. The craziest dog I've ever seen. Like zoomies in the backyard to where I'm like, oh my gosh. So I, being the great handler I am, put on his vest. I'm like, I need you just to chill out for like 5 minutes. Like, let's recoup on this. And it did not work. So Pinto at home is equivalent to like you after work, right? Like you just want to let your hair down and just enjoy the day. Pinto is the same. He is high energy, loves squirrels. He is very needy. I call him my shadow. He is everywhere that I will be. So Pinto, I always like to show patients and families videos of Pinto after work because they don't believe it. It's night and day.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. What a professional, though, to put on that face when you get to work. I'm very
I know,
impressed.
but then he makes me look like a liar. He's like, no, she's losing it. I'm like, oh my gosh.
That is hilarious. Oh, well, thank you so much for sharing, how you as the facility dog handler and dog mom and Texas Children's handles it, because I love that idea of really fundraising, not just for the position to pay you, right? But for all the aspects of the dog's training, care, vet bills, all that goes in to really, just having this program work. It's a lot to think about.
Yeah, it really is. And anyone can always feel free to reach out to us. I'm always happy to. I think every hospital should and could have facility dogs. So I'm always happy to talk about them.
That's awesome. Is there a good starting place that you recommend to people when they're considering getting a facility
Yeah, definitely.
dog?
There's a couple organizations. Our hospital has recently transferred to our facility dogs from Canine Companions, which they have a satellite campus in Dallas, but they're all over the United States. And so they train and raise dogs specifically for individuals, but also hospitals. And so I think that's a great base of seeing if your hospital qualifies for one.
That's great. And then just one last logistical question, because I'm interested. So how many kiddos are you responsible for at a time? Like, what does your and Pinto's patient load look
So
like?
Pinto and I typically will try to see around 8 patients a day. We typically will spend around 30 minutes with a patient. Every patient that we see, there's a therapeutic goal in mind, whether that is doing a physical therapy or occupational therapy session, helping during a medical procedure, or just helping with overall coping. We really try to keep those therapeutic goals in mind, so it's not just like a cute dog coming to visit your room. So we typically see between like 6 to 8 patients a day, like bedside visits.
Okay. And then is that for the whole hospital? Like, because I know Texas Children's
Right.
is huge.
So we currently have 3 facility dogs at our main campus, and then 1 at our West Campus location, and then 1 at our Woodlands location. So within the main medical center, we have 3 of them, and they're each divided into different towers, essentially. So Pinto and I are the acute care setting dogs. So we cover all of our acute care units, as well as our pavilion for women and our inpatient rehab unit. And then we have another.
It seems super small, like a really
Right,
small
yeah,
number.
like maybe like 30 kids. No, yes, it's
Yeah.
it's like
What is it, like
the
700?
hospital I think has like 800 or 900 beds. But yeah, we have like 35
Wow.
on each floor. So Pinto and I probably have like, I don't know, 300 kids-ish. So, and then
Okay.
we have
Wow.
an ICU and a heart center dog, and then an outpatient clinic facility dog. So, but we were waiting for another dog. We have had funding, and so now we're pending the application process. So, to come more.
Oh, that's so exciting. Well, congratulations on all you've done, not just for the patients and families, but for your hospital. You're a great advocate and really good at speaking about it. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the Child Life On Call podcast. I'm your host, Katie Taylor, and you can follow us at Child Life On Call on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Please rate and review to make it easier for other families to find us. We have cute merch available at www.bonfire.com/store/childlifeoncall, and you can listen to more episodes and find resources at childlifepodcast.com.